Hello, welcome to Audio Discourse. This is Anthony. I'm going to talk about the Thieaudio Monarch today. It's a new $730 in-ear monitor, and it came out about a month ago or so. And I'll probably be comparing it to also the edition Viento here. They're very similar in sound signature. I guess both of them are kind of a diffuse field signature with a kind of a 7 to 10 dB bass boost, sub bass boost, and both of these are what I would consider kind of a reference monitor sound with a little bit more coloration because of that sub bass boost. The Thieaudio is kind of a tri-brid. It's got a dynamic driver controlling most of the bass region, and it's got a mix of balanced armatures and also EST electrostatic tweeters to control the upper end. Again, the unit's $730. This isn't the cable that it comes with. I'm using actually a Ken Boothie 4.4 millimeter cable. The actual cable it comes with is a silver braided cable. I don't have it here with me right now, but I'll probably add pictures to my actual written review. The cable itself is terminated in a 2.5 millimeter balance jack, and it comes with two sets of adapters, one for 3.5 millimeter single-ended and also a 4.4 millimeter. Unfortunately, the jack itself is basically this long on top of the adapter, so it ends up being pretty long when you put, if you're gonna use like a 4.4 millimeter, you're gonna expect this jack to be almost like double the length of what you're seeing here today. So it's not the best option. So if you are using 4.4 or 3.5 millimeter, I would recommend getting a new set of cables with it. They do use normal 2-pin cables, so these are just generic cables that I bought, and they work perfectly fine. The shell design is actually very nice looking. It's got this sparkly, almost like an abalone shape to it. It's actually very, very large. I had some trouble wearing these at first because they were so big. If you compare it to my Viento, this is a custom, and it's almost the same size. It's slightly smaller than that, but this custom was built to, surround my entire ear and fit perfectly. So it has all the right shapes of my inner ear, whereas this is a generic shape that should fit most people, but it is again very large. So when I wear it, this area here, it's kind of the rear end of my my concha, so it does sometimes add a little pain there, kind of pitching it off. I had the same issue with like the Solaris recently, but it's not quite as bad. Tip changing does help a little bit, kind of reduce the angle maybe, or get a little deeper insertion, but again, this is still a problem. As you can see, there is a vent back here for the dynamic driver. There's no other vents that I'm aware of on this unit. So yeah, that's kind of my big gripe with it. It's a little bit big, but it does fit me pretty well. Using these ASLA elastic tips. They're not the cleanest tips to use because they do basically attract anything on here, but they are very comfortable and get a really good seal. As far as sound signature, again, these are kind of a reference diffuse field sound with I think it's a 10 dB sub bass boost that starts at 100 hertz or so, or 150 hertz. So it's not the warmest sounding IEM, but it does have pretty decent tactility down in the bass region. So compared to like the Viento, which they measure very, very similarly, the Viento, because it doesn't have a dynamic, doesn't have that kind of slam or impact that the Monarch does. That doesn't say that the Monarch has great slam. It just has enough for like someone who like me, who doesn't need a big deal of bass boost. This is just kind of a really good amount. Texturing's pretty good on it. It's not the best I've heard, but it's better than, say, the Viento here at that point. The mid-range is pretty balanced overall. There's no real emphasis anywhere on this. One thing that I do mention is the Viento is a bit more smooth and coherent throughout the entire frequency range. It's probably the top, if not top 2 that I've ever tried. The Visioneer's VE8 is also another IEM where I think it's got almost perfect coherency, despite being a multi-BA. This one, there is a little bit of kind of a separation or incoherency between the dynamic driver and the BA drivers, but that's not uncommon for most of these type hybrids or tribrids. But it does a pretty good job regardless of that. The one area in the mid-range that I think is a little annoying, I guess, with the Monarch, especially compared to the Viento. They do share very similar frequency responses, but the Monarch is a little bit shoutier, roughly in the 1 to 2.5K range. It's a little bit of a steeper, I guess, incline there. So when I'm listening to, I listen to a lot of jazz music with these, particularly piano jazz. When a piano strikes, it's a little bit sharper on the Monarch, and so it comes off a little bit more, I want to say harsh, or a little bit more, it's not really shouty because it's not vocal, but it comes off a little bit more unpleasant with the Monarch compared to Viento. The Viento is just overall smoother in general, and across the treble region as well. But that's not to say this is bad, it's just one of the little nitpicky things I have on it. This thing does extend treble really well. It actually makes use of the EST drivers, so it's one of the very few ones that I think do, and it's got a nice, nice sound to it. The soundstage is slightly more closed in than the Viento, in my opinion. It's probably above average, but not gonna like blow your mind away compared to, I guess, like like a headphone, or even like a soundstage like the Mest or the Solaris, where it's kind of like engulfing you with 3D soundstage. This one is more left to right, with a little bit of depth and layering, but not spectacular. So I think the Viento is slightly better at that, but not a great deal. These are still kind of average to above average soundstage. Imaging is still pretty good on these. I think the biggest benefit of this one over this one, besides that this is $990 for a Viento P custom, and this is $730 for a universal, and I think it's about, I want to say about $800 total for a custom version of this. So we're looking at about $200 difference between these two. I think you get a little bit better bass tactility, a little bit better slam, I guess, in that sense, and so it has a little bit more realistic sound in that area. You do get a little bit more forward sound on the Monarch, again, mostly in the upper mid-range. So I think because of that, you lose a little bit coherency, the soundstage, and the smoothness that you get in the Viento. Overall, I think I like the Monarch a lot. I would probably highly recommend it. There is the slight concern that that there's potential some unit variance, but it's a small concern. I think Linsol and Thieaudio have been pretty good about customer support and fixing those issues, but it is a small concern. I've had, like for example, the Clairvoyance I had came in, the review demo came in with some driver variants, or actually really just broken BA drivers, but they are going to go and replace that for me. That's not to say that other brands aren't having similar issues right now. I know some other big name brands and big price tag IEMs are also having some variation issues as well. So overall, I think this is a very, very good product, especially at the price tag that we're looking at. I rank this as one of my top IEMs in general. Maybe even beating out the Viento. Kind of depends on your taste. I actually have been preferring to listen to the Monarch over the Viento because of that extra kind of that bass. The bass sound is a little bit better because it's a dynamic driver. It may not be as clean and resolving in that area as the Viento, but it does have a little bit more feel to it. So that's something I am missing. So in general, again, this is a very, very good value. $730 US for the universal, and a little bit more for a custom version. And I don't know if you can actually beat any IEM on the market can beat it at this price, or even if you take the price away, this thing is still in the upper echelon of IEMs. I think I'm gonna probably release a tier list really soon, and I have this ranked in the S class, so the highest class on the ranking list. So I'll be reviewing the Clairvoyance once I get a new demo unit shipped to me, and we'll see you next time.